when are you gonna go to the store? We're all out of food. Why don't you go to the store? You're the one who eats all the food anyway. First of all, untrue. Second of all, I don't have any money. Well, I don't want to go to the store right now. Then why do you have the keys in your hand? The hell? And your driving hat. Just don't forget my Mountain Dew. God, this game fucking sucks. I know that's a hot take to start with, but I did not enjoy my time here. Now, before I start whining about Mr. Yellow Man, let's go over some quick background info. The original Pac-Man world came out in 1999 to pretty good reception, so Namco knew they had to make a sequel. That sequel would release in 2002 on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, which is the version I'll be playing today. Pac-Man World 2 got even better reception than the first game and is now widely considered a classic. Now, I played Pac-Man World 2 as a kid, but I could never get past the tree level, so now as an adult, I've somehow managed to power through. The game begins with the Pac people all sleeping peacefully, then these ghosts roll up and rob them of all their golden fruit. Didn't know Pac-Land was in the hood. They managed to release this dude from under this tree. Super Satan, I guess. They all leave with their stolen winnings, and it's up to Pac-Man to get it all back. And from this point on, it's just you, Pac-Man, and all the BS the game can throw at you. It's a level-to-level platformer with basic movement and challenges, a lot like Crash Bandicoot, if I can compare it to anything. Like Crash, the main thing you'll get out of these stages is the collectibles. Throughout every stage, there are Pac Dots, fruit, and tokens to collect. You're encouraged to collect everything due to the tally at the end of every stage showing you what you missed. The game is pretty bland if you ignore the collectibles, but then if you try to go for everything, the game gets a lot harder. At first, I was going out of my way to collect everything I could, but I very quickly realized that wasn't gonna happen. Pac-Man World 2 has a live system, and when you run out, you have to play the entire stage again, and nothing infuriates me more than being forced to redo shit I've already played. I'm of the opinion that lives are a completely outdated form of artificial challenge that should have been left in the 80s with the arcades. Seeing that this game came out 20 years ago, it's not really relevant here. Pounding this issue into the ground is the ridiculous amount of jank in this game. Who made this list? Like, we don't even eat fruit. An Xbox One? Not in my house. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about Pac-Man. Pac-Man himself doesn't have a whole lot of moves. He can jump, butt bounce, rev roll, and do this mid-air kick. Your main form of attacking enemies is the butt bounce. It works, I guess, but it's not the most precise thing in the entire world, and it's affected by terrain, so if you bounce off a slope, you'll likely fall off a ledge. The rev roll is used mostly for traversal. You'll often launch off ramps to get to places Pac-Man can't normally jump to. Unfortunately, this also requires accuracy I think the rev roll doesn't have. However, you can press a button to stop Pac-Man in his tracks no matter what during a rev roll, so that alleviates the problems a little bit. Pac-Man can also swim and follow these rows of Pac Dots to sort of float through the stage. It reminds me a lot of the Lightspeed Dash from the 3D Sonic games. The last thing he can do is collect this thing to become Metal Pac-Man, who functions almost identically to Metal Mario from Mario 64, making you invincible and sink in water. That's about it for Pac-Man. The stages start off pretty okay, but very quickly fall off due to all the jank. I died so many times to stupid nonsense I was at the end of my rope by the fire world. Slipping off platforms, getting stuck on uneven terrain, the rev roll completely missing. There was a whole bunch of times where Pac-Man would grab a ledge on a falling platform and would be completely unable to climb back up, resulting in a death. I died around 20 times on this avalanche level because the butt bounce didn't mesh well with the level design and I couldn't see where I was going in time. The later half of the game is a bunch of stupid gimmicks. Auto-scrolling swimming, roller skating, auto-scrolling submarine diving. Got nothing to do with the skills you've been developing over the course of the game, but here we are. Even the load screens don't want to be here. I'll admit they're funny, but they show up for about 0.5 seconds and then they're gone, just like my will to play this game. Don't even get me started on the stupid bosses. The first one is fine, but it tells you how to beat it, and the rest of them are reskins of this thing on these 5 floating platforms, and it's the most jank-ass, stupid jank shit. Thank God there are checkpoints in between each phase, because if there wasn't, I wouldn't have finished the game. The shitty camera and imprecise movements make these way harder than they should be, and that's honestly the worst thing about the whole game. It should be just fine, a typical platformer, but it's brought down by so much jank.
God, this game fucking sucks!
Sir, if you don't calm down, we're going to have to ask you to leave the store. You finally get to the end of the game and fight Super Satan Spooky. You avoid his attacks and jump kick him when he's vulnerable, and it took 20 minutes because of stupid jank. Also, I completely forgot to mention that if you find these Galaga things, then you get to play a classic Pac-Man maze. I didn't enjoy classic Pac-Man to begin with, so these are whatever. Pac-Man returns all of the recovered golden fruit to Pac-Land and everyone is happy, except for me because this game was hot booty butt cheeks.
Stupid piece of shit! I'm not actually gonna throw it. These things are like $100. I'm gonna need a palate cleanser.
Crawlco Block Knockers is a puzzle game with blocks and titties. You play as this dude here and you push and kick blocks around to fill in silhouettes, and once the image is completed, you finish the stage. In order to fill in the image, you have to place 3 or more blocks of the same color to fill in those spots. You can kick blocks or throw them behind you, but be careful as you can't throw blocks if there's only one space in between you and another block or wall. And that's the whole game. Do that for a couple stages, fight a couple bosses, and you win. Later stages add more obstacles like star blocks that have to be surrounded to be destroyed, and the silhouettes become more complicated.
Why are there big bouncing boingers on the TV?
Normally, I'm not a straight-up puzzle guy, but this here is one of my favorite games of all time. Now, why is that? Well, because of the boobs, obviously. This game's got that feeling of love and care being placed into the game, not like one of those straight-up, like, cheap porn games or whatever. The game has a story, tons of options, tons of varied stages, phenomenal music, like we're talking top 5 favorite soundtracks of all time. I use this soundtrack as background music all the time. Good music can 100% carry a game for me. I mean, that's the whole reason I play any Fortnite. I just be bopping my head to the music, solving puzzles, and looking at big boobies. 10 out of 10.
This video has definitely gone off the rails. What are we talking about? Oh, right, Pac-Man.
I didn't have fun here. Pac-Man World 2 should have been a fine platformer, and it could have been if there wasn't so much jank. If the issues were ironed out before release, I could see how people really enjoyed this game back in the day. But as is, I don't think I'll ever come back to Pac-Man World 2.
Why is there all this fruit in the fridge? That's what you put on the list, bruh. I didn't write a list. You think if I knew how to write, I'd be living here with you? Well then, who wrote it?